Anthony's crush lost a game and was punished with a pole dance to save her from embarrassment. Anthony looked at me and said Robin does ballet. She wouldn't know how to dance something this trashy. You'd do it for her. I explained that I didn't know how. Anthony sneered and exposed my secret in front of everyone. Didn't your mom raise you by dancing this exact thing? Even if you've never danced it yourself, you've seen enough to know how I didn't cry or make a scene. I just returned the engagement ring to him. Our friends all said he'd taken the joke too far and told him to go after me. Don't worry about her with that temper of hers. Give it 10 minutes and she'll come back on her own later. I heard that Anthony's wedding had no bride, and he lost his mind. Chapter 1. It was the end of the year. Our friends were throwing a party at a villa halfway up the mountain. The group chat message said everyone, no excuses, you all must show up tonight, whoever doesn't will be broke all next year. I was still finishing some work while calling Anthony. He picked up quickly. It was quiet on his end. I said, did you see the group message? Dan's organizing something? Yeah, I saw it, Anthony replied. I glanced at the time. It's about half an hour until babe. Take a cab there yourself later. He cut me off before I could finish. You're not going? I asked if Anthony wasn't going. I didn't feel like going either because all those people were really his friends. Tony, are you ready? I'm all packed, a voice chimed in from his side. It wasn't Anthony, it was sweet, syrupy, and a little cutesy. I couldn't think of anyone else, but Robin, you're with Robin, I asked without even thinking. Yeah, Anthony answered plainly, not even trying to hide it. I'm taking her over first, she's bringing a lot of stuff, filled up the whole car, so it wasn't that he wasn't going. He just planned to take Robin there himself. As Anthony explained, Robin's voice cut in again. Is that Melissa on the phone? Tony, you brought me, but not Melissa? Are you making her mad? If I knew, I would have learned to drive and gotten my license. Then I wouldn't be troubling you, Anthony reminded her. Did you forget what the doctor said? You have a heart condition, you're not supposed to drive. Oh, wait. I know, I was just saying, she said playfully. I could practically picture her sticking her tongue out at Anthony, and Anthony probably gave her that helpless but indulgent look of his. Anthony and Robin grew up together, same social circle. Most of the time their interactions look like a real couple's. Whenever I started getting jealous, Anthony would always say, what are you even thinking? I only see her as a little sister. Look at her, she's a total ditz, all sunshine and zero brains. If I had a thing for someone like that, I'd have to be desperate. Robin's voice was still going in the background. I guess I don't need a license. I'll just keep bumming rides off you as long as Melissa isn't mad at me. Anthony said you think she's as petty as you. Yes, your girlfriend is the most generous, the prettiest, and the most understanding. Happy now? They just kept bantering like that back and forth. Of course, Anthony laughed. My girlfriend is the most understanding, the most generous, and the prettiest. Listening to Anthony say nice things about me, for some reason it didn't make me happy at all. I quietly hung up the phone. Chapter 2. There weren't many drivers willing to take trips outside the city. It took me over an hour just to get a ride, and I even had to pay extra. That only made my already sour mood worse still. I tried my best to adjust my attitude by the time I arrived. The villa was already lit up like Ha Robin lost woo-woo. You guys cheated. There's no way I could have lost. The door creaks open and the laughter and voices from inside spilled out. I saw 4 or 5 people gathered around a table playing a board game. The others stood around watching. Robin had apparently lost, puffing up in protest. No way, that round doesn't count. We're doing it again. Everyone here was from some elite family or another. No one spoiled anyone. Robin, if you play, you have to be able to handle losing. Exactly, if you're gone nah wine cheat. What's the point of playing? Seeing no one giving in, Robin immediately pouted and looked toward Anthony, who was lounging on the sofa. Tony G, look at them. They're teaming up to bully me. The Liu family was top tier in this circle as the heir to the Liu Corporation. Anthony was someone nobody dared cross. Robin had picked the perfect person to back her up. Anthony, how many times has it been already? Favoritism, I assess one thing. But this is overkill, someone muttered in dissatisfaction. But only quietly. Apparently this wasn't Robin's first loss. My fists clenched on instinct. I remembered how not long ago my younger brother had gotten into a scuffle with a department head son at college. Though it wasn't his fault he faced disciplinary action, I'd begged Anthony to speak up for him. He'd replied people should be responsible for their own actions. Besides, I don't like mixing business with personal matters. But when it came to Robin, suddenly the line between public and private didn't seem to exist anymore. All it took was a single word from him. And who would dare risk offending the entire Liu family? Everyone waited to see how Anthony would respond. He scanned the room and finally landed his gaze on Robin. She looked back at him, shaking her head. Mouthing words seemed like she was saying, help me. Tony G. Anthony pressed his lips together, silent. No one could tell what he was thinking. But the next moment he glanced at his watch and asked a completely unrelated question. Where's my wife? She's not here, yet a heart full of bitterness felt an unexpected warmth. She's here. She's here. Melissa just arrived. Someone with sharp eyes spotted me for Anthony's sake. Everyone instantly put on a smile and greeted me with a cheerful hi sis-in-law. But if Anthony hadn't mentioned me, no one here would have remembered I even existed. After all, I wasn't part of their world. I was just a girl who'd studied her way out of a small town. If I weren't Anthony's girlfriend, I'd need 3 lifetimes of good karma just to step foot into the circle, walking across a carpet softer than clouds. I had just reached Anthony when he turned to me with a smile and said, "Babe, you're a just-in-time. Robin does ballet. She doesn't know how to dance something this trashy. You'd do the pole dance for her chapter 3. So it turned out Robin had lost the game, and the punishment was to perform a pole dance. And Anthony thought of me because he wanted me to do it in her place. I clenched my fists, secretly staring at him in disbelief. What did you say? Anthony really thought I hadn't heard him clearly, so he repeated it. You came just in time. Robin lost the game, so you can dance for her. Hearing Anthony's casual tone made my heart sink. Melissa, I didn't expect someone as quiet and elegant looking as you to actually know how to dance such a sexy routine. Guest appearances can be deceiving. Count then, while I was still stunned, Robin shoved a bikini into my hands. By the time I looked at her, she was already sitting next to Anthony, snuggling up to him and wrapping her arms around his. When she glanced back at me, she stuck out her tongue playfully. Then she turned to Anthony and said, "Tony, be honest, when you first liked Melissa, was it because you saw her doing a pole dance? Do all you men like that kind of thing? Should I go learn it too?" Anthony looked at her, his expression stern. "You're not allowed." "Why not?" Robin pouted, sounding wronged. "Melissa can do it, so why won't you let me?" "You're being unfair. Be good, don't act up, you two are different." After coaxing Robin, Anthony looked at me again. Seeing that I didn't move, he said, "Why are you still here? Go change already, don't keep everyone waiting." Meeting his gaze, I tightened my grip on the bikini in my hand. Then I tossed it aside. "Sorry to disappoint you, but I've never learned how to dance." "You haven't?" Anthony looked at me, confused. I replied coldly, "That's right, I haven't." Anthony's brows furrowed slightly. I didn't give him a chance to speak. "I'm suddenly feeling a bit unwell. I'll be leaving now." Just as I turned to go, Robin's voice sounded beside me. She said, "Melissa, is it that you can't dance or that you just don't want to—" "Oh, I get it now. Melissa, are you still mad that Tony gave me a ride and didn't take you? Is that why you don't want to help me?" Robin looked at Anthony. "Tony, I think Melissa is mad at me. What should we do? How about we just drop it? I don't want Melissa to be upset because of me." As she spoke, Robin started to get up, reaching for the bikini I had thrown to the floor. But just as she moved, Anthony pulled her back. "You're a ballet dancer. Your legs are precious. Don't fool around." Then in a flash, Anthony looked at me again. "Didn't you tell me your mom raised you by dancing this stuff? Even if you never learned, surely you've seen it enough to know how damn her mom was a pro." No wonder she managed to bag Anthony. These seduction techniques must run in the family. After Anthony's words, the people around couldn't hold it in anymore. Even though their voices were low on purpose, those nasty comments still made their way into my ears. My face turned pale uncontrollably. I clenched my palms tightly, barely holding myself back from slapping Anthony across the face. Anthony, he still didn't realize what he'd said wrong. He urged me again, "Hurry up and change. Don't waste everyone's time." I glanced at the bikini on the floor and stepped on it without hesitation. Anthony suddenly grabbed me. "Who said you could leave?" I gave a cold laugh and shot back, "You expect me to stay and let you humiliate me?" Anthony frowned. "How am I humiliating you?" After a few seconds of silence, he added, "You really think what I said just now was humiliating?" Anthony looked at me with disbelief. "Wasn't everything I said true?" "Melissa, don't be so sensitive, okay?" Chapter 4. I stared at Anthony in disbelief. I'm being sensitive. Anthony was already getting impatient. What else could it be? "It's just a pole dance. It's not like I'm asking you to go sell yourself. Do you really have to make such a fuss and embarrass me like this?" The moment those words left Anthony's mouth, I felt like I didn't even know him anymore, or maybe I never understood him to begin with. Maybe people in this kind of circle all have distorted values. My story with Anthony began in a bar. At the time, I had no money and needed to pay my younger brother's tuition. Desperate, I took a part-time job as a waitress at a bar. On the day I met Anthony, the pole dancer scheduled to perform didn't show up, and the manager, flustered, asked me to fill in. I told him I couldn't dance, and he said, "Doesn't matter, you're pretty and have a great body." Just go up and move around a bit. After hearing that, I still didn't want to do it. Then the manager said he'd pay me more, and so I gritted my teeth, changed into the outfit, and went up on stage. But I truly didn't know how to dance. My random movements didn't impress the crowd. In fact, they started yelling at me. What the hell is this? Stop pretending and give us your dirtiest moves. Damn, what kind of place is this? Quit acting all pure, you're already out here selling it, and still acting innocent. Keep this up and we want our money back. Seeing things not going as expected, the manager blamed it all on me and forced me to start dancing properly. Otherwise, he said he'd dock my pay. Back then I had just stepped into society with little experience, or know how the moment someone raised their voice I'd freeze up and start crying like an idiot. That's when Anthony appeared as the bar's biggest shareholder. He got a quick rundown of what had happened, then announced that all drinks that night would be on the house. I thought that was the end of it, but then he turned around and demanded the men who had insulted me to apologize. If they refused, he said he'd get a lawyer to sue them. Under Anthony's pressure, those men obediently apologized to me. Afterward, he asked me to stay behind. I thought he was going to scold me for what had happened, but instead he simply said life's already hard enough, you're doing fine, go home and get some rest. In that moment, those words and the man who said them felt like a ray of light piercing through my heart. He seemed different from others. He understood. He understood what it meant to struggle to scrape by at the very bottom, just to survive. So as we got closer over time and started dating, he gradually learned about my past, but in the end it was the person who knew me best who drove the knife in deepest. A voice snapped me back to reality. Robin said, "Tony, maybe we shouldn't pressure Melissa. It's just a dance, but it kind of feels like we're bullying her, not bullying." I snapped at her. "If your mouth's so capable, why don't you go do it?" Anthony didn't like that. Didn't I say it already? Robin's a ballet dancer. She can't do that kind of vulgar dance. Hearing that something in me died, I nodded. All right. I took off the engagement ring from my hand and threw it in front of him. Not long ago, during the proposal Anthony had orchestrated himself, he had placed this very ring on my finger. I had been moved to tears back then, thinking I would spend the rest of my life with Anthony. I never imagined I'd be giving this ring back so soon. Anthony stared blankly at the ring I had thrown to the floor. "Melissa, what do you mean I'm giving back the engagement ring?" I looked straight at him, pausing between each word. "Anthony, we're breaking up the moment." I said that the atmosphere in the room dropped to freezing. Anthony's face went taut, veins bulging from his forehead. Seeing him turn grim, the people who had been goading me into pole dancing quickly tried to smooth things over. "Sis-in-law, don't joke like that. You can't just throw around words like break up." "Yes, sis-in-law. Anthony was just teasing you earlier. Don't take it to heart, sis-in-law. Anthony likes you so much there's no way he'd actually let you go dance like that." "Exactly, Anthony. You went too far with the joke. Hurry up and make it right with her." I knew these people, they weren't speaking up for my sake. It was just that if they had to witness Anthony getting dumped here, and now there was a good chance he'd take his anger out on them later. Anthony seemed to be thinking something over, and his expression softened a little. "All right, fine, it's just a dance. If you don't want to do it, then don't." Sue pulled away from his hand, locking eyes with him. I'm not joking, the mood froze again. Anthony stared at me for a few seconds, saying nothing. A moment later the tension in his face actually faded. He curled his lips into a smirk. "Melissa, are you sure you want to break up with me? Do you realize the only reason you're standing in this villa right now, standing in front of me talking, is because you're Anthony's girlfriend with your background? If not for me, you wouldn't even qualify to set foot in here. Don't push it." Anthony looked down on me like he was above it all. He seemed certain I'd back down. "I gave you the ring back. Starting today, we're done completely." I didn't look back as I walked out of the villa. Chapter 5. As I walked out of the villa behind me, I heard Anthony's friends. "Anthony, you're not going after her?" "Yeah, man, I think she's really mad this time." "Aren't you going to smooth things over?" Anthony replied irritably. "Smooth what over? Like she deserves it? Don't worry about her with that damn temper of hers. Give it 10 minutes, she'll come crawling back." He sounded so sure of himself after all in all the years I'd been with him. Every argument ended with me giving in first. I had a bad temper, and Anthony wasn't any better. But for the sake of keeping our relationship intact, I was always the one willing to bend again and again, crossing my own lines just to make it work. What I didn't expect was it was precisely because I kept backing down that Anthony had become so shameless and arrogant. I didn't want to hear another word. This area was remote, and it was a long time before any driver accepted a ride request. I had no choice but to keep walking, hoping I'd come across a passing car. It was late autumn, and the temperature outside was freezing. The villa had been warm, so I hadn't worn much when I left. The cold wind whipped past me, and I couldn't help but shiver. A dull ache stirred in my abdomen. By the time I finally got into a car, the pain had become so unbearable that sweat poured down my forehead. My vision darkened, and I was on the verge of passing out. The driver panicked and rushed me to the hospital. When I woke up again, I was lying in a hospital bed. Beside me was my younger brother, his eyes red, nearly crying. "Sis, why didn't you tell me you were pregnant? Do you know that if we'd gotten here any later, you could have lost the baby?" I looked at him, completely dazed. "Pregnant? What do you mean pregnant?" "You didn't know?" The doctor handed me a medical report. "Your test results show that you're already 2 months long. It's freezing outside today, and you barely had anything on, plus you have low blood sugar. You passed out the car. You young people really need to take better care of yourselves." I took the report from the doctor's hand. It showed clearly there was a tiny life inside me right now. My brother asked, "Sis, aren't you happy? Didn't you always say you wanted to have a baby?" My grip on the report tightened. I looked up and asked the doctor, "Please help me schedule a termination." "What? Why?" As soon as I spoke, my brother looked up in panic. "Sis, didn't you always say you wanted a baby? Why don't you want it now that you finally have one?" "Once upon a time, I did want a child because I always imagined that maybe, just maybe, my mother, who had passed away, would be reincarnated as my child someday. But now." I just shook my head at him. The doctor was unfazed, clearly used to this. He didn't press the matter. It wasn't until the doctor had left, and I was alone with my brother, that I finally said, "Anthony," and I broke up. Then I told him everything that had happened at the villa. He couldn't contain himself. His eyes turned red with rage, and he nearly rushed off to confront Anthony. Not long ago, to surprise me, my brother had helped Anthony pick out the proposal ring. He knew I would like keeping it secret from me the whole time. Even the video from the proposal had been taken by my brother, quietly recording the moment for us. I stopped him quickly, not because I felt sorry for Anthony, but because I didn't think someone like him was worth my brother lifting a finger. The abortion was scheduled for 2 days later. My brother took leave from school and insisted on staying at the hospital to look after me at night. He rented a sleeper chair and kept watch outside my room. Then came the day of the procedure. His expression looked off as he asked me for my phone. I unlocked it and finally saw what had happened. Been just these short 2 days, Anthony had already been seen with Robin at various public events. Everyone was saying Robin was the one Anthony really had. In his heart, it looked like I, the fiancé, was about to be replaced by her. Robin had even posted on her WeChat moments, "Soon to be Mrs. Lou, hope a certain someone knows their place," and stopped showing up in front of Tony or trying to disturb us. The image was of a ring, that same engagement ring I had thrown away, now sitting proudly on Robin's finger. I couldn't help but laugh. "What's there to be upset about?" My brother froze. "Sis, do you really not care at all anymore?" "Why would I care?" I smiled faintly. "It's just one piece of trash ending up with another." Chapter 6. The abortion surgery was a success. As I was wheeled out of the operating room, my younger brother sniffled, wiping away tears as he walked beside me, a guy in his 20s crying like a little kid. I found it funny, but I didn't have the energy to comfort him. The next few days he was constantly by my side, doing everything he could for me. He even bought tons of supplements, piling them up by my bedside. That scene somehow reminded me of our childhood. When Mom came home with snacks, the two of us would fight over them. He never managed to stand, and I'd end up locking all the snacks in my nightstand every night. He'd sneak into my room to steal from it, and I'd always leave the drawer slightly open on purpose, just so he could. The day before I was discharged, my brother suddenly called out to me at the door. "Sis, I can't sleep. What's wrong?" His voice for once sounded a little shy. "I don't know, it's just seeing you like this made me think of Mom. If she knew I got into a fight at school, would she be disappointed in me?" I didn't know what to say. A while ago he got into a conflict at school, polite and well-mannered his whole life. It was the first time he'd ever thrown a punch, and he did it for one reason. Someone insulted our mom. Our mother was a beautiful, resilient woman. She was naive when she was young and got tricked by our scumbag father's sweet talk, giving birth to both me and my brother. But not long after my brother was born, our dad was drowning in debt while Mom was trying everything to pay it off. He took all the family's assets and disappeared with another woman. Some said he died, others said he was living it up with her somewhere else. But Mom didn't have the luxury to care. She had debt to read PE and 2 kids to raise. She was young, beautiful. Out of desperation, she started pole dancing, quick money. People called her stupid. said she should have never trusted a man so easily. Others told her to just abandon us at a welfare home. She always just smiled in response. She lived in the moment. During our school years, people would mock us about it, saying our whole family was dirty, not wanting anything to do with us. When Mom found out, she'd just hold us tightly, apologizing over and over, but my brother and I knew she was the last person who needed to apologize. Sadly, she never got to see us grow up. She died of exhaustion while I was still in college. I comforted my brother. There's no way Mom would blame you. She'd be proud you wanted to protect her. So what's your plan now? I thought for a moment Professor Mao came to see me recently. She asked if I wanted to be her assistant. I've actually thought about it seriously, but if I do take it, I'll have to go abroad with her for a few years. Professor Mao was one of my college professors, now affiliated with my brother's school. She had always wanted to mentor me my university days, but I wasn't interested in academia back then and turned her down. We've kept in touch all these years, and she's always cared about how I was doing. She even helped resolve my brother's recent fight. My brother saw through me instantly. Sis, just go. Don't worry about me. When are you leaving? The 1st of next month. I lowered my gaze. Anthony. Next month I'll be leaving you for good. Chapter 7. After leaving the hospital, I urged my brother to go back to school. I turned home to pack my things. Ever since I got together with Anthony, I'd moved into his place and lived with him. Calling it a home was a stretch. Technically, it was just one of the many properties under Anthony's name. Still, after living in that house for so many years, it was hard not to fall into the illusion of calling it home. What I didn't expect was that the moment I stepped through the door, a piece of women's lingerie came flying at me. Looking up, I saw Robin in a pure white wedding dress, laughing as she ran down the stairs. When she saw me, she flashed a mocking smile, but her voice was soft and sweet. Melissa, you're back. At the sound of that, Anthony also came downstairs. You're back. His casual tone made it sound like that night in the villa never even happened. Was he so sure I'd come back to him? Of course, to him, my return today probably meant I was admitting defeat. I didn't bother explaining. I simply turned to look at the wedding dress Robin was wearing. Anthony noticed my gaze. He cleared his throat. Since you weren't around, I asked Robin to help pick out a wedding dress for you. You're a bit slimmer than she is. Just go down a size and it should fit. Robin giggled. Oh, stop it. I prefer to call it curves. Okay, Melissa, since you're here, I can take it off right now and give it to you. I cut her off. No need. I don't like secondhand things. Hearing that, Anthony's expression became a little awkward. Still, he didn't say much. He simply pulled out a sheet of paper. You once said you didn't want too many people at the wedding. I had someone put together this list, just some close friends and family, see if there's anyone you want to add. By the way, do you still have a spot open for bridesmaids? Robin's never been one before. If there's room, let's add her to the lineup. I looked at the list in my hands. Originally, Anthony and I were planning to get married 3 months, our engagement. If it hadn't been for all the things between him and Robin, I might have already given up the opportunity to study abroad with Professor Mao and waited around like a fool to become his bride. I shook my head. If she wants to be one, let her. After all, if there won't be a bride at the wedding, filling that gap with one more bridesmaid seems fitting. Anthony didn't expect me to agree so easily. He stood frozen for a moment. You're really okay with this? I brushed past him and went upstairs. He tried to follow, but Robin stopped him. Tony G.E., come help me pick out a bridesmaid dress. It's my first time being one. You know what if I accidentally pick something that outshines Melissa? With Robin pouting and flirting like that, Anthony gave in as usual. He flicked her nose with a smile. As the sound of their footsteps faded away downstairs, I received a message from Robin. Melissa, you've really got some nerve. You're still clinging to him while your fiancé is helping another woman pick out dresses. Let me tell you something. Tony G's been bored of you for a long time. Don't you feel shameless hanging around like this, even if you did marry him? So what? All I have to do is curl my finger, and he'll come running right back to me. I let out a soft laugh. That trash Anthony people were actually fighting over him. I didn't reply. I was going to delete and block her, but as my eyes landed on the wedding schedule topped under the guest list, a sudden idea sparked in my mind. Chapter 8. On the day of the wedding, Anthony stood in front of the mirror, dressed in a sharp suit. Feeling a rare sense of nervousness, he'd been preparing for this day for a long time. Lately, he'd been insanely busy juggling company affairs while personally handling every detail of the wedding. It had been quite a while since he last saw Melissa. He'd expected her to reach out to him by now, but she hadn't made a single move. Was she still mad at him? The thought unsettled Anthony. Over the years he and Melissa had their fair share of arguments. Whenever they fought, Melissa would always get emotional. Anthony preferred peace and quiet. So whenever Melissa got loud or dramatic, he would just cut off all communication, emotionally freeze her out for a while. It always worked. Before long she'd show up at his door with tie-dye eyes, asking him for forgiveness. He thought this time would be no different, but ever since their argument at the villa, Melissa hadn't reached out at all. Even when they saw each other at the house later, her attitude remained cold. No matter what he said, all he ever got in return was a bland as if she didn't care about him at all anymore. Still, at least she seemed to be taking the wedding seriously. He'd been hands-on with the entire process, and she hadn't been idle either, busy with something of her own. Even so, Anthony couldn't shake the unease in his gut. Something about Melissa felt different lately, but he couldn't quite put his finger on it. "Anthony, the guests are waiting outside. Where's Melissa? She's being watched closely. The bride already has her veil on and is ready to go." Anthony gave a small nod as the officiant's voice filled the hall. Anthony stood at the altar watching. The veiled bride slowly walked toward him. The wedding dress looked a bit tight on her. A flicker of discomfort flashed through Anthony's mind. Before she could reach him, he stepped forward quickly and lifted the veil. "Why is it you under the veil?" was not the face he longed for. Instead it was Robin, looking shy and bashful. Tony, before the guests could even react, the massive screen at the front of the hall lit up. Photos and videos began flashing across it, scene after scene of Anthony and Robin together, them holding hands, embracing, even kissing when they thought no one was watching. It was all laid bare on the screen toward the end. Robin's repeated taunts and insults directed at Lissa played as audio clips. "Melissa, look at yourself, raised by some pole dancer. And you think you're worthy of clinging to Tony G? You really think Tony G wants you? He's just playing around. He'd never actually marry someone like you. And even if he did, so what? Marriage means nothing every time you're gone, Tony G with me. He just hides it from you, that's all." Robin's face turned ghostly pale, and at the very end of the video, a medical report appeared on the screen. It showed the existence of a small life. Melissa's unborn child lost too soon. Chapter 9. After the video finished playing, the entire venue fell into dead silence. Someone whispered, voice trembling, "That test result, was it?" Quite a few people present recognized it at a glance. "That's a prenatal checkup. Wait, was Melissa pregnant?" The veins on Anthony's forehead bulged as he threw a punch straight into the screen. Robin shrieked in fright, "Where's Melissa?" Anthony's voice trembled with restrained fury. "Where did you take her? Tony G? Listen to me. I didn't mean for this to happen. It was Melissa. She's the one who said I should take her place and marry you. Tony G, I just love you too much. That Melissa, she's just some trash raised by a pole dancer. What's so great about her? If she hadn't kept clinging to you all these years, we would have been together long ago, right?" Robin clung tightly to Anthony's waist as she spoke, but Anthony shoved her off with pure disgust. With the force of that push, Robin stumbled and fell to the floor. Her hair was disheveled, and she looked up at him in panic, in despair. "Tony G, what are you doing? Didn't you say it yourself that if Melissa were out of the picture, you'd marry me? Well, now she's gone and I've married you. Aren't you happy?" "Shut up!" Anthony's roar cut through the air. Robin, who had been crying so hysterically a second ago, fell silent in an instant. Anthony didn't spare her another glance. He pointed to the entrance. "Go find her." The people around him hesitated. "Anthony, this is a bunch of useless idiots. Didn't you hear me mobilize the entire Lou Corporation? I want Melissa found. If you don't find her, every last one of you can pack your things and get out." With those words, a wave of people rushed out of the hall in chaos. Even the wedding guests were quickly ushered out one by one. Robin was no exception, dragged out of the venue by Anthony's men just before she was taken away. Anthony looked down at her coldly from above. "Strip that wedding dress off her. That dress belongs to Melissa. No other woman has the right to wear it." Robin's eyes widened in shock before she could say a word. She was pulled into the changing room. Once the room fell quiet again, Anthony slumped to the floor and lit a cigarette on the big screen. What was supposed to play was a slideshow of the memories he and Melissa had made over the years. Their first meeting, his confession, the first restaurant they ever went to together, every anniversary, each of their birthdays, his proposal, all of it had been captured through the lens of a camera. Anthony had turned those cherished moments into a photo album. He had planned to give that album to Melissa as a wedding gift. Melissa had always loved documenting life's little things. In her words, she liked to hold on to every beautiful moment. Anthony used to scoff at her for that. He realized it. He'd started following her rhythm, painstakingly preparing that album for her. Agitated, Anthony pulled out his phone and tried calling Melissa. But long before he'd even noticed, Melissa had already blocked him. She had blocked every single way he could contact her, even the people closest to him. Every avenue cut off. The only way to find her now was to have his secretary look into it. Anthony sat there in pain, muttering under his breath. Melissa, a feeling crept into his chest. This time Melissa was really gone. Chapter 10. The scandal from Anthony's wedding quickly exploded on social media. After all, he was the sole heir of the Luke. Every word and action of his was enough to cause a storm online, let alone this time. It wasn't just a scandal, but also a public apology. Baby, I was wrong. I really know I messed up. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just want to see you one more time. If you're willing to see me, I'll give you all of my Lu Corporation shares. That video was shared wildly, so much so it even spread overseas. After all, getting Anthony's shares meant getting the entire Lu empire. Many in the business world called him insane, throwing everything away for a woman. Some even started digging into the past between Anthony and me. Everyone wanted to know who was this woman that just by being in a relationship could earn the entire Lu Corporation. And the only reason I knew about all these online discussions was because my brother called to tell me, "Sis, you have no idea, everyone at school is talking about it like crazy. Anthony's come looking for me a few times too. But don't worry, I didn't say a word. He can't get anything out of me." I gave a soft dim and hung up. But deep down I knew no matter how much my brother tried to cover for me with Anthony's network, finding me overseas was only a matter of time. So when I said goodbye to Professor Mao and saw Anthony standing at the street corner, I wasn't surprised at all, baby. His voice was hoarse and choked. Instantly I felt nauseous. I frowned and pushed him away. "Don't come near me." Seeing my reaction, Anthony thought I was still pregnant. He immediately stepped forward to support me. "Baby, you should be resting more. Why are you out walking around like this? Come back to the country with me, please. We'll hold the wedding right away. I've hired the best doctor for you. Just stay home and focus on the pregnancy, all right?" When I ignored him and walked right past Anthony, panicked, "Baby, don't be like this, please. I know I was wrong. I'll apologize, however you want. I'll do whatever it takes, but you're still pregnant. If you're angry, the baby feels it too. Just for the baby's sake, don't stay mad at me, okay?" At that, I let out a cold laugh. Anthony, seeing my smile, thought I was softening. He stepped closer. "Baby," I cut him off. "Anthony, what are you pretending to be so devoted for now? That baby's long gone after the humiliation you put me through at the villa. Do you really think I'd still be carrying your child, waiting to live a blissful life with you? Let me tell you, dream on. I would never allow my child to have a father as filthy as you." Anthony looked up in disbelief. "You mean our baby is gone?" I stared at him coldly. "If you don't believe me, go back home and check the hospital records yourself." He stood there, stunned. I tried to walk away, but he grabbed my wrist, shaking his head like a madman. Anthony muttered, "No, baby, you're lying. You've always wanted us to have a child. Now that we've finally had one, how could you possibly get rid of it? I don't believe it. Hit me, yell at me, do whatever you want, but don't lie to me about the baby, please." I jerked my hand free with disdain. "Who would bother lying to you? If you want the truth, go ask your secretary to check." As the words left my mouth, Anthony looked like he'd been struck by lightning. He collapsed to the ground in defeat. I walked around him, ready to leave, but then I heard his voice behind me, raspy and broken. "Why, I was its father. Why didn't you even talk to me about it? How could you be so cruel as to just get rid of it?" I stayed silent for a moment, then I asked him quietly, "When you stayed with Robin and mocked me for being a pole dancer, did you never think it would lead to this?" Chapter 11. That day, Anthony waited downstairs for a long time. I didn't show him even a sliver of kindness. I turned around and called the police after the officers took Anthony away. He didn't come looking for me again for quite some time. According to my brother, after Anthony returned to the country, he first tracked him down and asked everything he could about me. Then he went to the hospital and checked the records. When he found out that I had really gone through with the abortion, he completely lost his mind. The Lowe Corporation took a massive hit as a result of the scandal. He brought on its stock price, plummeted the board of directors, held an emergency shareholders meeting, and stripped him of his control. Even the Liu family kicked him out, and just then Robin, now visibly pregnant, insisted on marrying him. Anthony agreed. Then on the day of their wedding, he personally pushed Robin on the stairs in front of all the guests. Robin died on the spot, and Anthony was convicted of premeditated murder and sentenced to death. The execution date is approaching. My brother was the one who told me all this. After settling down abroad, I helped my brother apply for study abroad too. By the time his program finishes, Professor Mao's research will also be complete. Then we'll return to the country together during Spring Festival. The three of us sat around a hot pot together. It was Mom's favorite meal. Amid the rising steam,